Okay, so this is the Maimer in called Maim Rabim. This was given by the Rebbe in the year Tafshin Yud Zayin, and it was published shortly thereafter. And the Maimer, the Rebbe based himself on the pasuk of Maim Rabim Lo Yuchlu Lechabes Esa Avo. He brings down a pshat that is brought down in the Medrash, and he also brings down a pshat that the Alter Rebbe speaks in the Torah Oyer, and he tries to reconcile. And he says, even though they look different, but they actually are basically one and the same. Okay, so this is Siyata Deshmaya, Shabbos Parshas Toldos, Mevarchim HaChodesh Kislev in the year Tavshin Yud Zayin. It quotes the pasuk Maim Rabim, and this is a pasuk in Shir HaShirim. Pasuk it quotes the whole pasuk, the whole subject over there from Maim Rabim. Over there, it says like this: Maim Rabim lo yuchlu lechabes es ha'avo. The great waters, the many waters, cannot extinguish the love. The way we're going to learn in the Medrash Rabbah that this love is talking about the love that Hashem has for the Jewish people. That notwithstanding the Mayim Rabim, there is lots of waters, there's a lot of nations of the world, and maybe the nations of the world are complaining about the Yidden, but the Rebbe, the pasuk is saying the Mayim Rabim, these great waters, the great nations, many nations, lo yuchlu lechabes es ha'ava. They are not able to distinguish the love of HaKadosh Baruch Hu to the Jewish people. In the Maimer, the Rebbe will bring down in Torah, he translates Maim Rabim lo yuchlu lechabes es ha'ava, that all the distractions, the Maim Rabim are called distractions, cannot extinguish the love of a Yid to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That we're talking about the love, we're talking the love that a Yid has for Hashem, and these Maim Rabim are not able to distinguish it. But let's first learn according to the pshat of the Medrash, as the Rebbe will bring down first. So Maim Rabim lo yuchlu lechabes es ha'ava. So the many waters cannot extinguish the love of HaKadosh Baruch Hu to the Jewish people, unahores lo yishtafuha, and the rivers cannot flood it. Im yitein ish as kol hoin beisei ba'avo, if a person gives all of the fortune that he owns in his home for this love, boiz yavoizuloi. So boys they will actually take the spoil. Boys means like a loshon bizo, like loshon spoil. Let's see what the Medrash says and the Targum. Umefarish betargum or bemedrash Rabbah and Rashi. So the Targum, the translation, and the Medrash Rabbah and Rashi, they say like this: Omar HaKadosh Baruch Hu libnei Yisrael. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says to the children of Israel, Im yiskansu kol umei so'ilu, if all the nations gather together, hamoin amim rabim, a multitude, an enormous amount of many people, kisho'oin mayim rabim, like the noise of mayim rabim, of great waters, lo yuchlu lechabes chas v'sholim, they, God forbid, they cannot extinguish es ha'ava shebeini lebein Yisrael, the love that is between me and the Jewish people. They are not able to extinguish that. The im yisasvu kol malchei oretz v'soreim. So this is talking about just the general nations, and even if all the kings of the land and their officers, Sorehem, compared to Mei Hanor, to the water of the river, Ha'atsumim v'rabim, which are powerful and many, Lo Yuchlu limchos chaz v'sholem eischa min ha'olam. They cannot erase you, God forbid, from the world. Lo yushtafu. They cannot flood and they cannot drown the Jewish people, even if all the kings and all their officers gathered together. They can't accomplish that. And then the pasuk says, "Im yitein ish eskol hoin beisoy." If a person gives everything that he owns, the entire fortune of his home, for what? Liknois es Torah the golus, to acquire, to purchase the Torah while in exile. Ashalem loy kiflayim ba'olam haba. Hashem says, I will pay back double in the world to come. So when you give hoin beisoy, everything that you have, and you give it away bi'ahava, because of this love, because you acquire Torah Wariyun Golus, Hashem says, Ashalem lo kiflayim ba'olam haba, I will pay you double in the world to come. V'chol habiza v'sholol machne goy lo yiyah, and all this spoil and everything that we take from the fortune of the camp of Goy, that's Mechemes Goy Gumogig, that will be before the Geula, Lo Yiyah will be to you. That's the way they teach the Pasuk of Abishvizl. Then, further, the Pasuk says, Achois Lonu Kitam. We have a small sister. What does that mean? So the way the Medrash explains, but Eisahi Yedainu Malchei Shemaye. Over that time, the heavens, the angels of the heaven will be in judgment. Uma Achaz Zu Yisrael Yesh Ba'aretz. There is one nation, the Yidden nation is in the land. Uketanohi. Achois Lonu Ketana means she is small bezechiyos, doesn't have too many merits. So the sister that we have, the Yiddish people, they are small. What can we do for our sister on the day that it will be speaking of her? She needs to do a shirach, a match. What could we do for her? Mina umois. What is going to speak about her, about the nations who want to go up for war against that small sister, against the Yidden, against Yisrael? But yeah, this is a discussion that goes up amongst the angels of above. So Michael, who is the sword, the officer of the Yidden, Im Chaymahi Goimer, and this the continues of the pasuk in Mamorim Rabim. If it's a wall, which means Im Oimedes Umazu Kechayma Bein Ha'amim, if this nation stands as a wall amongst the nations, that you do not intermarry with the nations, which is the idea that they're a wall. But rather she will hold on into her belief, and her fear, to acquire the unity of his blessed name. So we will be for a fortress for the Yidden. And the nations will not be able to dominate her. But further the pasuk says, What happens if she's poor, which means even if she is poor from mitzvahs, nevakish oleho rachamim v'lifnei Hashem. We will ask for her compassion from before Hashem. V'yizker lo zchus haTorah, and he will remember for her the merit of the Torah shel tenekes shel beis rabon, of the children that go to school, Cheder haksuva aluach liboisom, which is written on the panels of their heart, on the luach of their heart. So basically, it touches all these things, whether they are in a level of achoima, that they're strong, or even if dallas, even if they're not strong, still we will pray for them in the zechus of the children that go to school, which is written aluach liboiso. Medrash Messiah, and he concludes in the Medrash, Umas ha'olam oimrim, the Umas ha'olam say, Anu choitim b'Yisrael einam choitim. We sin, and the Jews don't sin. Bitga, rhetorically, how could that's not true? Achis lonu ketana. The Eibishter says, Achis lonu ketana. We have a small sister, which means, what is Hashem saying? Omar lahem HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Kishem shahati noikes hazu. Just like this little girl, baby girl, when she is small and she sins on her fathers, the fathers do not get angry at her. Why? Lama, because she is small, so they look away. Kachem Yisrael, the likewise is by Yidden. The Eibishter looks away. Aches lanu kitano. The Medrash concludes with Messiah, Elo bar korchachem tihu amin. Against your will, by force, you will be my people. V'chein hu oimer. And likewise, the Pasuk says, Hoyoy loisiya asher atem emrim niya kagoyim goymer. This will never be what you say, that we want to be like the nations. Elamani Isa, what am I going to do? With a strong hand, I will king over you, which means you have no choice. The Eibishter is going to be with us. He's going to be our God. The Eibishter is going to forcefully become and be our God. I'll be king. Here you learned how dear the Yidden are before Hashem. This is all quoting the Medrash on the Pasuk, Mayim Rabim, that love of Hashem is specifically for the Bnei Yisrael, and even though the Mayim Rabim, all the Goyim and all the officers, and they're complaining that why the Yidden deserve Aches lanu ketana, the Yidden are like a small kid, a small girl that the parents are not angry, don't get angry, and the Eibishter is going to be taking care of the Yidden. So according to this Ava that we're talking about in this pasuk in Shir Hashirim is talking about the Ava of HaKadosh Baruch Hu to the Bnei Yisrael. But in the Torah Oir, the Alter Rebbe teaches that the Ava means the Ava that a Yid has to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So we need to understand Eich Yasim Pirush Zeh in Pirush Rabbeinu beParsha Zu ala Posik Mayim Rabim. How does this interpretation fit with the interpretation of our teacher. This is the Alter Rebbe in this parsha on the Pasuk of Mamorim Rabim. This is talking about in the Torah of the Parshas Toldos on the Mamorim Rabim. That's based, the Maimer that the Alter Rebbe's teach in the Maimer is based on what is written in the Zohar. But there he teaches the Mamorim Rabim. He his boinenus shem is boinen bigedulas havaye, that these great waters is that he reflects on the greatness of Hashem. Shehu memale kol almin v'seviv kol almin, that he fills all worlds and he surrounds all worlds. That's the energy of Hashem, fills and surrounds all worlds. And everything before Hashem is considered like nothing. That's the reflection, the meditation. That is the meditation, the reflection when we say Shema Yisrael Baruch Shem. And when you have that reflection, then from this extends, you should love Hashem ad till the pasuk continues. Sheyove is going to come with all your being, b'li gvul, without a limit. Lo yuchal lahashkit v'lechabes simoyin ha'avazu. So the teaches over here a little different than I said before, because there's another Maimer of Mamorim Rabim, which is in Parshas Noach, but this is already in the Maimer in Parshas Toldos that the Rebbe is talking about. Over there, he said he cannot quiet down, and to extinguish Simoyin ha'avazu, the thirst of this love, alidei hamayim rabim atzmo, through these great waters themselves. The Mayim Rabim, these great waters, these great reflections, and the meditation, and the love that is created from there. The Shema Yisrael, the Baruch Shem V'Havta B'chol Moedecha, these Mayim Rabim, Atzma, he cannot quiet and extinguish his thirst. Shehi Hayizbaninus V'Hayidiyah, which is this meditation, the knowledge, knowing that doesn't calm down that thirst that he has to Hashem. Lo yuchlo chabes hava, cannot extinguish that love that he has in his heart. Ba'afilu loy al yidei hasogis shebeganed, even not through the understanding that the person, the neshama, has in Gan Eden, which is a much higher level than a person has in this world, and yet even that cannot quench, cannot calm down that thirst to Hashem. And the pasuk continues, unahoreis. So the Mamorim Rabim had these great thoughts. Unahoreis lo yushtafuo. The rivers cannot flood it. What does it mean? The nahoreis hu hagilui shebegan Eden. The nahoreis, that is the revelation that is in Gan Eden, like the pasuk says. V'nohor yotzei me Eden lahashkes esagon. That the nohor comes out of Eden to water the garden. The hagam, the hagilui. So there is a nohor, there is a river, there is a level of Eden, which is the level of Chokhmah. There is a river that stretches from the Eden, that waters, that comes down into the Gan Eden. And is agam shehagilu shebegan Eden hu gilu oir naila b'yosef. Although the revelation in Gan Eden is a very elevated revelation of light, And there's also various types of steps endlessly in Gan Eden. So there is Gan Eden, and there's many, many different levels in Gan Eden. The Av Shebichlolus Niskar Bisforim. Gan Eden Hatachne Gan Eden Ha'elyon, even though that generally in the Sforim they talk about two levels. Gan Eden Hatachten, the lower level of Gan Eden, Gan Eden Ha'elyon, the upper level of Gan Eden. That doesn't mean that there's only two levels. That's what they discuss. Hare Omru Razal, but our sages have already said in the Gemara that Talmidei Chachomim Ein Lahem Menucha Chulu. The Talmidei Chachomim have no rest because they keep on going from one madrega to the other madrega. Chulu Shenemar Yelchu Mechayel El Choyel Goyim. They go from strength to strength. So that means there's a lot of different levels besides just the general level of Gan Eden Hatach Gan Eden Elyon. There's Ein La Menucha. They keep on going. So all these floods, the rivers, the Giluyim, that the revelations that come down to Gan Eden, Lo yishtafuho, they cannot flood it. Shekol hagilu oir shebe Gan Eden, that all the revelation of light that is in Gan Eden, lo yuchal lerabis etzatzimoin, they cannot extinguish, they cannot satisfy, they cannot quench that thirst. That can only be in Torah mitzvahs. Torah mitzvahs is what can quench that thirst to Hashem. This he says, Im yiten ish as kol hoin beisoi be'ava. If a man will give all of the fortune of his home. Ish means Hashem. If Hashem gives all that he owns, not just Gan Eden, not just Giluyim, but the Kol Hoin Beisoy, Be'ava, for the love that the person loves Hashem, the Eibishter gives him Kol Hoin Beisoy. Ish HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Who is the Ish? That's HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He's the one that gives. Kasher Yiten as Kol Hoin Beisoy, he gives his entire fortune of his home, which is what? Hu HaTorah u'mitzvahs. That's the Torah mitzvahs. The Eibishter gives us. Hinei boys, Yavoizu loi, they will take and grab hold of all the spoil. Chap that, they will biza, it's like you are going to take all this spoil and all the fortune from the other side to grab it. Just like one who takes the precious treasures that he grabs it and he takes the spoil because he is greatly yearns for this. They will go and take this as spoil. And this fits with the saying of our sages, the Bahai Almodi Azlinon Minei, that in this world that we come from it, which means in Olam Hazeh, as opposed to Olam Habo, Chatoif ve'achoil, Chatoif ve'ashti. You have to grab and eat and grab and drink. So basically, you have to do it like a biza, like a spoil in which you are grabbing and you are taking this spoil. Specifically with Torah and mitzvahs, he is able to fulfill his thirst. He's able to quench his thirst. Because they are higher than the level of Nohar. The Nohar is what the Gan Eden or even the older levels get. But Torah, they cannot, lo yishtafuha, they cannot quench the thirst, but it is kol hain beis Torah mitzvahs that yin chap, that is higher b'chinas nohor. Ki'im b'chinas mayim, that's called the level of a well. As we say, batered ho'ayno, this is a pasuk by Rivka, she descended into the well, batemali kado, and she filled her jug. So the Zohar says, what does it mean, batemali kado, she filled the jug? Kado stands for Chov Dalet. The Chov Dalet, her jug is Chov Dalet Sifrin Deraisa, the 24 Sforim of the Torah. Sheyizgala, so that level of Mayan, that level of what we get will be revealed la'osid in the future. The well will come out in Beis Havaya. So right now, the maximum is the level of the Nohar, but the Mayon, the well, Beis Hashem Yetze, that will be lost in the future. So now we don't see this open, it's not revealed. So Torah mitzvahs, we don't see that the Torah mitzvahs gives us the well versus just the Nohar. So it's not openly, but yet so that level actually comes down now. Al Yidei Torah mitzvahs ma'asyos, through the Torah and mitzvah, the practical Torah mitzvahs. And that's why with this specifically, the person quenches his thirst. So now, what do we have? According to this interpretation of the Alter Rebbe in the Posik Maim Rabim, Hakosov Mevaher Madrigoson Shel Yisrael. Over here, the Torah explains the level of the Yidden. That what? That Shehem that they are on a very high step, and their love for godliness is with so much force, ad asher gam hagiluyim hayoser nailim, to the extent that even the greatest elevated revelations, lo Yוכלו לרביס es Simon, are not able to satisfy, to quench their thirst. So that's according to the Alter Rebbe's interpretation, based on the Zohar. And according to the interpretation of the Targum and Medrash, Hakosuv Medaber, over there the Pasuk talks Kasher Yisrael, Heim Bishval Hamatzev B'Yosef, that when Yidden are in a very low situation, they're in a very difficult and a low matzev. We talk of them, the Achois Lonu Ketano, we have a small sister, which is Ketano, that's small in merits, doesn't have too many merits. Beheim Choitim, and they sin. To the extent that the nation of the world want to compare themselves to the Jews. So, according to the Alter Rebbe's Pirush, we're talking about the Yidden on the highest madregas, that they can't quench their thirst, even with Gan Eden, with the highest level. And according to the Medrash and the Targum, Yidden are standing in a low madrega that we need, especially Hashem, to intercede on their behalf. And the Goyim want to equate themselves to the Yidden. Ube'emes, the truth is, hine, Beza Pirushim, these two interpretations, hine, loizu bilvad she'en soisrim zelozeh, not only that they don't contradict one another, Eloid Misayim umevarim zeh, they actually support and explain one another. Gimel. Lahavin, and to understand, that calls all this, tzarich lahavin, ma'amer hazal bebracha. So first we need to explain the sage, the saying of our sages in blessed memory, and the Gemara Brachas and the Vav Amud. Over there, the pasuk says, "Atem asisuni chativa achas ba'olam." You made me, distinguished me, one special achas. You made me one chativa achas. You made me one in this world. V'ani aseschem chativa achas ba'olam. I'll also make you, distinguish you as one achas ba'olam in this world. How so? So the Gemara explains. Atem asisuni chativa achas. You make me into an achas, into a one, because you say Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. We're saying Hashem is one. We make Hashem achas echad. Ba'ani eschem chativa achas. I make you one. As the pasuk says, Umi ke'amcha Yisrael goy echad. Who is like your nation? One. Who is like your people? One nation. So we are echad also. The bishneim nemar echad. By both, it says echad. By Hashem, it says echad, and by the Yidden, it says echad. It says Hashem echad, Shema Yisrael Hashem echad, and it also says v'goy echad. What is the idea of echad? Hine be'echad yesh gimel inyonim. There are three ideas in echad. The Medrash Isa, in the Medrash we find echad ein kayetze bo. When we say Hashem echad, He's one, means there's nothing like Him. Ein kayetze bo. There's nothing like Hashem. Tzarich lahavin. So we need to understand Ma'u hashevach. What is this praise, the ein kayetze bo, that there's nobody like Him, like Hashem? How could it go up to the heart of man that there is something like Hashem, that you need to say, no, there's nobody like Him? Why would you even think that there is? What kind of a praise is that there's nobody like you? Why would you even think that there is somebody like Hashem? The Inyan base, the second Inyan, in Hashem echad, when we're saying Hashem is one. Well, the Isa b'Medrash Rabbah, it says the Medrash Rabbah that meheichin zochu Yisrael likriya Shema mimatan Torah. Where did the Yidden merit for the reading of the Shema Yisrael Hashem echad, from Matan Torah? Omer HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Shema Yisrael, the Yidden, Hashem says to the Yidden, Shema Yisrael, listen. Anoichi Hashem Elikecha. So the beginning of the 10th commandment, Anoichi Hashem Elikecha, Hashem starts with Shema Yisrael, listen to Yidden. Ashivu Yisrael, Hashem Elikeinu. So they said, yeah, Hashem is our God. Anoichi Hashem Elikecha is the response is, we say Hashem Elikeinu, Hashem is our God. Then when the Eibishter said, Lo yiyeh lecha, the second command should be unto you, Heshivu Yisrael Hashem echad. That's when the Yidden said Hashem is one. So Hashem Elikeinu is a response to Anoichi Hashem Elikecha, and the Hashem echad is a response to Lo yiyeh lecha, should be no other God. B'hainu, and that means the echad hu lo hoitzi inyan avodah zarah. That this echad comes to exclude the idea of avodah zarah. There's only one Hashem and lo yilcha. There's nothing else besides Hashem. V'agimul, And the third part in the Hashem Echad in this pasuk is the Hashem Echad hi mitzvah bifnei atzmei, that it is its own mitzvah. It's not the mitzvah now of lo yilcha likim acherim, which the Yidden respond to Hashem Echad. No, it's its own mitzvah. Shehi mitzvahs liyachdei. There is a mitzvah to make Hashem one. Make Hashem one. Shezehu is going to explain soon, not to be mishatef, any partnership, not only Hashem is one, but the shituf we learn from here. This is mipasik Shema Yisrael Gomer Hashem Echad. This is from the pasuk Shema Yisrael Hashem Echad. V'hainu lahoitzi me'inyan hashituf. That is to exclude from the idea of partnership, which means to say that there is somebody else in conjunction that is partnering with Hashem. There's one to believe in Hashem. The other thing is to believe Hashem Echad, that he is one, that he doesn't have anybody with him, which is something which the Yidden are obligated more than the nations of the world. He's going to explain. The Hine B'nei Noyach Einon Muzhorin al Hashituf. The children of Noyach, which means non-Jewish people, are not warned against shituf, against participation. This is according to L'das Haramo Be'erechaim Simen Kufnun Vav, according to the opinion of the Ramo in the Rechaim. Hagam she muzhorim al avodah zarah, but they are, although they are warned that they must not have avodah zarah, shenitztave Adam Harishon al zeh. That was Adam Harishon, who was Bnei Noach, before the Torah was given, he was already commanded not to have avodah zarah. Kumesha Kosuf by Yitzav Goimer. Hashem commanded Adam, and when it says the language of Vayitzav from the Gemara Sanhedrin and the Zohar, he quotes El Avodah Zarah. Hashem warned him against Avodah Zarah. So the concept of Avodah Zarah does apply to non-Jews. To Bnei Noach was told to Adam. And yet he was not instructed not to have shituv, not to combine. It is only the Yidden that have been commanded against shituv, against adding and putting someone else together with Hashem. What is the difference between outright idol worship, avodah zarah, and participation? Is the avodah zarah who the korile elokot elokayim. Avodah zarah means they call him the God of the gods. In other words, while they believe there is gods, that's the shituf. They admit but agree that he is the God of the other gods. What does it mean, the gods of the other gods? The hine rom al kol goyim havayim. All the nations say that Hashem is rom. He's higher. Al hashamayim kvoide. The Eibishter's glory is in the heavens. What does it mean? Shehein oimrim. They say shehu rom v'nisa. They say that Hashem is exalted, he's raised. V'al and therefore, because of the greatness of Hashem, rak ala shamayim kveida. It is only his honor and his glory is on the heavens. Avol al hanivroim hatachtonim v'hashvelim. But on the created being, the lower ones, and the lower levels that are below, this would be a lowering. It would be beyond him, lashgiach aleihem, so he should supervise them. This is not respectful for Hashem, who is so great, to lower himself to supervise what's going on in this world. And quoting the pasuk, "Ba'ozav Hashem es ha'oretz," Hashem has left the earth, b'dei ha'kichavim u'marafes hashamayim, in the hands of the stars and the order of the heavens. B'zel lifis v'rosom, and this is based on their idea, the Yishavus ha'olam hu b'derech ilo v'olu, that the world is created in the way of a cause and effect, a chain reaction, which is known when you have ishtalshlus ilo v'olu, a chain. There is a relationship from the lower level to the upper level. So there is still a relationship between God and the people. They think the creation is in a gradual way from Hashem. And therefore they say, the Shamayim Hainu Nivroim, therefore they say, the heavens, which are the created, Halyonim, which are the upper creation, so they are considered to be within, compared to Hashem. He can look over them, supervise them. But these lower effects, it's not at all in his comparison, his value to go ahead and supervise over them. They say, he left the earth and everything it's in it, in the hands of the stars and the arrangements of the skies. That's really not so. While Hashem, we continue in the pasuk, not that he's left the world, but the Magbi L'Shavis, while Hashem is sitting and so high, both he lowers himself to see in the heavens and the earth. Since Hashem is high, sits up very high, b'bchinas havdola, in a way of separation, al kein hu mashpili b'shamayim u'va'oretz b'shova. He lowers himself, whether it's the heavens or the earth, equally. Gam ha-shamayim he hashpola lagabe. Also, the shamayim is a hashpola for him. The creation is not in a way of a chain reaction.